Hello, and welcome to an intro to Anthro with two humans. I'm human number one, John McCray.
And I'm human number two, John Lehr.
And this is the podcast where we reassess what it means to be human. And the title of this episode is, Come On, Daddy Needs a New Pair of Shoes. Why Humans Love to Gamble. So, John, we're going to be talking about gambling.
Good. I bet it's going to be a great show.
You got it in. You got it in already. You actually took longer than I thought you would take to get that in. Are you a gambler? Are you a gambler?
Yes, I like to gamble. I'm a very addictive personality, as we discussed at length on this show. Gambling does not trigger me in that way. So I can stop. It doesn't like grab a hold of my soul like other things do. But I do enjoy it. I really enjoy it. I'm a terrible poker player.
Yeah.
It took me years of losing to realize that, but I love craps. I just think craps is fun as hell.
Is that what you play when you go to Vegas? Do you go to Vegas a lot? Or go to
I mean, my brother lives there, but they don't really gamble as most people who live in Vegas don't.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it's fun. It's fun to do a little bit,
Yeah. You've mentioned before that you love people watching.
Yes.
In the Las
Vegas airport. Yes.
Right. Can you describe that a little bit? What is it that you find so...
Oh, God. I mean, it literally is my favorite place to be in the Vegas airport. If you're connecting flights or what have you, and you're waiting. Because it's got everything that America can offer. Everybody's overweight, people coming in from everywhere to spend their money. And then you got people leaving who've lost their money. And then you've got people coming in who are, there for some sort of a bachelor party or whatever. And you've got the dancers and the singers coming in for the weekends,
Right.
I just love it, man. That's just my favorite.
Yeah, I was always to say, something used to suck my heart out when I left Vegas, and it wasn't, it was a weird feeling. It always felt to me like, the closest thing to Westworld that we ever had.
Yeah.
Like you could go there, you could stay at a hotel, people would treat you like the service would be good.
Yes.
And then you'd leave, you think you had a good time, you'd leave, and then you realize I really didn't connect with anybody. It was just in my own world.
Well, and you see so many sordid things around you that you don't really fully take in. I shot a pilot there, and we shot in a casino, and I remember looking at this older, like in his 70s, maybe late 60s, security guard talking to this 18-year-old cocktail waitress in a way that just kind of made me sick to my stomach. Like there was something about it that was so, God, I don't know.
Mary has a very good friend who's lived in Vegas for years as a professional singer and dancer. And we go out and visit her every once in a while. And one time she was, she wasn't the lead in it, but it was a topless Western show.
Nice.
So she had left tickets for us. And again, it was like, it wasn't like one of the big rooms. But anyway, a guy in a tuxedo, we gave him our name, and then he took us down to like front row center.
Oh, yeah.
So everybody was looking at us like we were some, foreign dignitaries. And then, a few minutes later, there's
the ambassador of Luxembourg. Yes, that's fantastic. I love that.
Yeah.
Now, I once saw, I was involved in a poker game. I don't know if you were going to talk about this, so I don't want to jump the gun. This was regarding an electric dog collar. Do you remember that?
Ooh, yeah.
Oh my God. Okay, so if poker wasn't stressful enough, we decided to, again, this is in our 20s, I think.
Yeah.
We upped it. Somebody came up with the idea that our friend had a dog collar that they were training their dog with. And it would shock the dog, which all of us were like, not crazy about that path that they took. But in any event, they had the dog collar there, and they had a little remote control that would give a level 1 to 5 shock. And so we came up with the idea that when you're playing draw, the number of cards you would get would depend on the level of shock that you would take. And I think you took a 5. Did you take a 5?
I did take a 5. It was it just seemed fair. It was such a sweet dog. I was like,
yes,
I wouldn't put you through anything I wouldn't go through myself, dog.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But what was so intense about that moment wasn't the shock and seeing you in pain, because that was, but it was the moment before when the dealer's holding the remote and you're holding the dog collar. God, that was intense.
That's like the classic prison guard. There's a classic psychology experiment about that, where they had students play the guards and students play, or like you could give, I think I'm conflating it with another, but you could give a shock. Like one student could give a shock to somebody else who would criticize them or something.
Yes.
And the people would act like they were getting a shock, but just to see who actually did it or not. So
and then we keep doing it.
Yeah, we should look into that. I'm glad you brought that up. I wasn't going to. I forgot.
Oh my God, that I could never forget that time. That was a great moment.
Okay, John. So to give you a little background about where this episode comes from, or the idea for it, you and I have made no secret about the fact that we're lifelong Kansas City Chiefs fans.
That's right.
And the football team, for people who don't follow them.
And underscore lifelong. Because I want people out there to know we were around for decades of losing.
Right. And that's what, and we talked about it in our episode 23, which was the Football Fans and Football Fools.
Oh, that was a good show. Mm-hmm.
That was actually, do you know that was how many? 53 episodes ago. Wow.
Jesus. God.
All right.
Look at us.
but you're right. We were from birth, 1965, 1966, we were Chiefs fans.
Yeah, that's right.
To be a Chiefs fan during those early 50 years.
Yes.
Constant sorrow. They sucked.
They sucked. And they sucked in many different ways. Sometimes they would get close and then lose. Sometimes they would never even get close. Right. There are all different ways of them not winning.
Right. Sometimes they were very good and they would suck. If that's possible.
Yes, that's right. We'd have big plans and then nothing.
Yeah.
I'm sure Cleveland Browns fans can relate. Detroit, for sure. Our brothers in Detroit and Buffalo.
Definitely.
All very similar. Yeah. And New England, the Patriots sucked for a long time before Brady and Belichick came along.
Right. So anyway, just to give some background, when I reached 50, I said, I actually prayed. I said, God, just give me one Super Bowl before I die, and I'll never ask for anything again.
That's like the drunkard's prayer. Please remove alcohol and I'll never ask for anything else again. Right. Every alcoholic has said that prayer.
That's basically what I did. I took that prayer and just took out alcohol and put it in
football. And lo and behold, they went to the Super Bowl that year.
They got good again. They won in 2020. They won again in 2023, won again in 2024. Last year they fucked it up, but
they went all the way though.
Right. And it's almost like God is now telling me okay, asshole.
Yeah. Now you're gonna pay. Way to go, McCray. You've ruined it for all of us.
You've got your Super Bowl. Now it's time for you. It's like trying to get me out of the bar or something.
Your little prayer has now ruined the rest of our lives.
But the reason I bring this up is that they were bad for so long that I wasn't prepared for people to dislike them so much.
Yes, people hate us now.
Yeah.
Hate.
Not even hate. They loathe us.
Yes. pray for our failings.
I know. Which is a different thing. Being a lifelong Chiefs fan, it's a different thing to have to adapt to. I'm
Right,
not
'cause
saying I don't.
we were always the lovable losers.
Right.
Now we're winners and everybody hates our guts.
Right. But I'm not sure if you noticed, last season there was a change in the tone of the hatred.
Yes.
It kind of went up a couple notches.
Yes, it did. Taylor Swift came along. That amped things up.
Right.
People were just like, we hate your guts.
Yeah, there was a new level of vehemence, vehement hatred of us.
Mm-hmm.
And then they started, at a point in the season, they started accusing the Chiefs of cheating.
Yes. Well, accusing the entire league of cheating to help the Chiefs. Like there were the conspiracy theories of the refs and you know, them in cahoots with the Chiefs.
Right, exactly. And as a Chiefs fan, I'm just like, what universe are we in? We waited for 50 years and it was, was it finally our turn that they would rig it for us or something,
Well, conspiracy theories in this day and age, I have a lot more pull than they've ever had. We had to go ahead and invent the internet and Facebook and social media, and now we're going to just destroy ourselves. But yeah, conspiracy theories have equal weight to, theories that have facts backed up.
Right. And you mentioned it already, that the theory basically was that the NFL was colluding with the Chiefs and rigging games so that the Chiefs could win because the NFL wanted to keep all the Taylor Swift fans.
That's right. That's right.
The Taylor Swift fans happy.
Right.
And for those of you who don't follow football or Taylor Swift, she started dating the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs last year.
Yes.
And would occasionally come to a game, occasionally show up to a game.
Yes.
And that was what they said. They were like, the NFL is making so much money off of Swifties, teenage girls buying Travis Kelce jerseys.
Yes.
That they're not going to do anything to disturb that cash cow.
Yeah, they're gonna cheat the entire game.
And then, like you mentioned too, then people started accusing the NFL referees of being in on it.
Yes, it was all done through the referees because we had some questionable calls that could have gone either way. The refs they seemed to go the way of the Chiefs, and
and the clamor got so loud that even major news outlets had to address it. So on January 27th, 2025, the Los Angeles Times ran an article titled, "Fans say the games are rigged for the Chiefs. Are the officials on Kansas City's side?"
The LA Times, I'm so done with them.
Really?
I'm just like, really? No, I have canceled my subscription to the LA Times.
Yeah.
Not because of this issue, but because of other issues.
Yeah.
But I'm very disappointed in that paper. Very.
Yeah, they have one of those billionaire bosses that just tells them not to write anything. It's basically becoming the shopper. The shopper that they used to throw it. All these major newspapers are becoming the shopper. You can have classifieds, and you can have an article about a new, restaurant that's opening. But you can't have anything for it.
Yeah, exactly.
And in the article, Steve Henson, who's a sports journalist for the Los Angeles Times, I guess, says that Chiefs fatigue is a real thing. Which maybe I get it. But after 50 years, I haven't reached it yet. And then he quoted Mike Pereira, who's the former head of NFL officiating and the Fox News analyst.
Now, I know Mike Pereira. Not personally, but I know him, yes.
Right. And Pereira said, quote, "The fact that officials are looking out for any team or any individual is an absolute myth. You don't want to get fired. You want to be right. People that say that don't know a damn thing about officiating. Until you put the uniform on, until you have to make those quick judgments, get off my train. Period."
Whoa. Whoa. Did he say period? Or was there a period?
No, he said period.
Whoa. I mean, the only thing stronger than that is full stop.
Right. Right. I love how he says until you put the uniform. It's like he's talking like he's a combat.
Put that stretchy black and white zebra suit on.
He's like a cop or a combat vet. Until you've been in the uniform, you don't know what it's like.
And stretch it over your fat beer belly.
Yeah, so Pereira was upset. He was saying this is ridiculous. And as we've talked about in our episode 3, Piltdown Meltdown, Anthropological Hoaxes, Fakes, and Falderols.
Great episode. Right. That was number 3. Man, we came out of the gate fast. Hard. Period.
Yeah.
Period. Full stop.
We're in a lull right now, but we'll get back. Don't worry.
We'll get back. We'll get back. We'll find our way.
We got wind in our sail. I feel a wind coming.
We're in the doldrums, but we feel the wind a-coming.
Yeah. Don't mutiny yet. Stay with us, and we'll soon have you on your way, I guess.
And if you do mutiny, do it while we're doing a live show so that we can get the numbers, because that'll.
Oh, that'd be great.
Somebody kills us while we're live.
Oh, that'd
be good.
I love it. Mm-hmm. I've already got my Super Bowls. What do I care?
Right. And then we just replace you with AI.
But the conspiracy theory logic goes something like this. Well, he wouldn't deny it so strongly if there wasn't some truth in it.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, why is Pereira getting so mad if it wasn't true?
Right. Whoever smelt it, dealt it.
Yeah. And when you reach that point, you're just screwed. You can never reason with anybody at that point.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And then people became upset that the Chiefs were winning every game by only 1 or 2 points.
Yes.
And usually in the last seconds of the game.
And I would also like to put an end to that. I'm sick of that. It drives me crazy. I'm going to have a heart attack.
Yeah, you're the best team in the league.
40 points once in a while? Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm with the conspiracy. I hope they can do something about that.
Yeah, it's like, please let me have one where I can get up and go like outside or start folding my clothes or something, and I'm not like screaming at the TV, you know. And then I was watching the Chiefs play the Bills in the playoffs.
Yeah,
and this was an example that you were talking about. It was a very close call. The Bills went for a first down. From one angle, it looked like he got it. Josh Allen got it. From another angle, it looked like he didn't get it. And the referees conferred and said he didn't get it.
Yes.
And it became very controversial.
Yes.
And in response to that call on the field, Troy Aikman,
oh boy,
who was the quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, is now an announcer. I personally
dated what's her face? The Taylor Swift of her day.
Who was it?
Oh God, what was her name?
Not Jessica Simpson. Not the other. Yes. I'm talking about Troy Aikman, the old guy. Old guy.
Never mind. I got screwed.
That was I can't remember that guy's name. It'll come to me later.
Yeah.
But Troy Aikman's the older guy. Tony Romo is who.
Tony Romo. Sorry about that. I just confused Tony Romo with Troy Aikman. 2 white quarterbacks from the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah. They all look alike. The quarterbacks for the Dallas Cowboys. Tony Romo was never good after that. He was never good after he dated Jessica Simpson.
That's right. Well, you were terrible after your first wife. We had to get you divorced.
I went up to the Canadian leagues. I had to go up to the Canadian leagues and write comedy for a while before I came back. But I call Aikman, I call him the Sandman because he always puts me to sleep whenever he's in the house.
He's like, he's tough.
Monotone, vacuous. Doesn't say much.
Well, Sandman. That's great.
But he said on a show after the game, and he said, quote, "The game has not become less controversial. It's become more controversial. But then I just think we are at a point, and this is tipped a little bit because the league is partners with a number of these gambling services. This is Troy
Oh,
Aikman
boy, he
talking.
brings that in.
Right. So he says, so here you are promoting gambling. People are gambling more than they have ever before. And those types of calls, there's a lot at stake regardless, but especially when you're considering there's a lot of money that's changing hands with these calls as well. So that's Troy Aikman saying.
What is he saying? I don't understand.
Well, it's all over
What's
the place.
His point?
But his point is we have to fix these calls on the field because it's not fair because people are losing money and gambling on them.
Right. We have to do it for them.
Right.
Sounds like Mr. Aikman might be heading to the casino.
Well, that's when it dawned on me. That's why people are so upset. That's why they're upset that the Chiefs are. It's not because, the Chiefs are beating their favorite team as a fan, as a normal fan. It's because the Chiefs were winning by 1 or 2 points in the last few seconds of the game.
And not making the spread, right. So that it really screwed people over.
Right. They were blowing the odds. They weren't covering the spread. The Chiefs weren't covering the spread, like you mentioned. Yeah. And people were losing a lot of money. And they were also losing their minds in the process.
Yes.
And, following up on that, I did a little research, and in October of last year, ESPN.com's David Purdon noted that a recent NCAA study had shown that, quote, abuse by angry sports bettors is one of the most common types of harassment college athletes receive, making up at least 12% of publicly posted social media abuse.
Jesus, that's intense.
I know. And Purdon says that the study defined angry sports bettors as individuals who engage in problematic and intrusive communications due to match events and results contradicting the bettors' predictions.
Right.
So losers, they lost. They lost. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then he says athletes received abusive messages before, after, and during events. So I'm hoping they're not like directly receiving during the event, like during a basketball game.
Well, people yell stuff at them all the time, constantly. And outfielders, baseball outfielders get it constantly.
Right.
Constantly. Yeah.
And now with social media and TikTok, everything, I guess like college players are just getting it all the time. From angry bettors who are
right. And they're now getting paid, those guys too. So that gives them more vehemence, I'm sure, more leverage.
Right. It's more visceral, at least when it comes down to that abuse of somebody yelling at you. And so I started noticing all the ads and commercials during football game, and I only watch football, so I'm sure it's the same in baseball or whatever. Basketball, telling people how easy it is to gamble.
Yes.
And how they should go gamble.
Yes. And big time celebrities are on those commercials.
Right.
Yeah.
We need to get you on one of those.
God damn, I'll sell my soul. I don't give a goddamn.
And it makes it seem like you're going to be cool. You're going to have lots of money, women, cars. Yeah. All your wildest dreams are going to be fulfilled by betting on online gambling, on online sports.
Agreed.
And a lot of these ads are directed towards young men, if not specifically adolescents, because as they like to say, there's no way an adolescent, somebody under 18 could ever get on here and gamble. But we all know.
Yeah.
We all know the truth to that, but they're definitely men, and usually they're in their late teens or early 20s. And this is a problem because, as you and I both know, that you've mentioned already, as former alcoholics and drug addicts, we did a lot of stupid things when we were in our adolescence.
So many stupid things.
Right. And like you mentioned, you don't care is the whole thing. You don't care.
Right. Because you don't think you're going to die.
Right.
You don't think things are going to go badly for you. There's some sort of, I don't know. You're bulletproof. You're bulletproof.
Right. And it leads you to do things like rowing across the Hudson River in the middle of the night when you're drunk.
Exactly, which I did. In a rowboat. It had a motor at first, and the motor petered out. But it was myself, my friend Jim, and 2 young ladies who needed a ride to the Manhattan. We were over in Jersey, on the Jersey side, and the PATH train had closed for the night, and nobody had enough for a taxi, so they didn't know what to do. And our friend Walt, who had a boat, said we could use his dinghy. And we did. And about halfway across, the motor went out. And I'm still not worried. I'm just laying there in the boat enjoying the evening. And suddenly something was blocking out the stars. And I was like, that's weird that there are no stars over there. And then I put it together that it was a barge, a giant barge the size of a football field, like a building on its side, floating down the Hudson River right at us. And Jim was just, rowing as fast as he possibly could. And we just missed it.
Yeah.
I tell New Yorkers that story and they're just like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. With no lights on the boat.
No lights, nothing. Not
it would have just run over, that barge would have run over you guys. Nobody would have ever known.
No.
They would have just been.
They never would have found the bodies, nothing.
Yeah.
Yep. We would have just disappeared.
But it shows you the type of
idiocy,
the type of decision making you have when you're young and you don't care. You don't care. You think nothing will ever happen to you.
That's right.
And in the 2013 article, Minors and Gambling Regulation, Margaret Karen said that existing empirical evidence is conclusive that certain groups of individuals are at an increased risk of developing gambling-related problems. And the development stage of adolescence makes them especially vulnerable.
That's right. And now that extends to 26.
Right.
Right? They think adolescence now extends to 26 because our brains don't fully mature, especially men. Don't. And that makes total sense when I look back over my life. Total sense.
That doesn't. It was a false maturity at that point.
That's right. That's right. And maybe in the future, they're going to extend it out that long, maybe that'll happen.
Yeah. Karen says that the psychological literature from across different jurisdictions is in agreement that risk to minors suffering gambling-related problems is 3 to 4 times higher than it is for adults. So those are pretty good odds.
It is. Yeah, it is. But it's that way with everything, with drug abuse, alcoholism, suicide, pregnancy. I mean, it's just every single thing is more likely to happen during that time.
Right. And what she's saying is that young people are especially at risk due to their need to satisfy internal motivation with a limited ability to cognitively understand the risks.
Yeah.
So that's what you're saying. You're
like you row across a river at night.
Right. You didn't
Not just any river, the busiest river in the world.
You didn't cognitively understand the risk at that point.
Yeah, we didn't take a moment and think it through.
And you probably, even if you did, you probably still would have got in there and be like, "No, nothing's going to happen."
Yeah. I get the risk. I'm doing it anyway.
And Karen says that minors experience also a high comorbidity or like simultaneous, overlap of conditions between gambling and other psychological problems such as depression, alcohol, drug abuse, and smoking.
And I just said it. And suicide.
Right.
I would throw suicide in there. Yeah.
I would say, thank God they didn't have online gambling in the 80s.
Or the internet. I mean, we dodged a huge bullet. I don't know how my kids navigate the internet pretty well, and I can't believe it. I'm astounded by how well they do with it. Because it's just like, it's too powerful. We can't handle it. Human beings cannot handle this. We built this thing and we can't do it.
Well, I was thinking, it's like, I already had like alcoholism, smoking, drug abuse, and depression.
Yeah.
If I had been able to gamble anytime I wanted back then, I would have had gambling thrown on top of it as well.
Absolutely. Particularly if you could bet on the Chiefs.
I know. I know.
Oh,
It would have sucked
yeah.
me in. It would have sucked me in.
God, for sure.
I would have graduated with, like, instead of just crushing student loan debt, I'd have like crushing gambling debts on top
And
of it.
that's a thing. That's
Yeah.
happening.
In fact, I would say if for all the gambling corporations out there, the one, if you could make an argument that it would behoove you to have the government forgive student loan debt, because most of those people are going to go out, and the young men are going to go out and gamble it all away and give it right back.
You're right.
So,
You're right. They should
at
be
least,
pushing for it.
I know. Go talk to Diamond Don or whatever.
Yeah.
See what you can do. And gambling is a huge business right now, John. A lot of money involved. I'm not saying anything that people don't know. But the American Gaming Association actually has an online revenue tracker. I'm holding it up for people that you can go on. The American Gaming Association has a commercial gaming tracker that allows you to see how much money was wagered month by month and state by state.
Interesting.
And it said in February 2025, commercial sports books generated $1.18 billion in revenue.
Whoa.
Up 39.8% across the 32 jurisdictions that had released revenue data.
Up 39%.
For the month, Americans wagered $11.83 billion on sports, up 10.6% year over year from last year.
Wow.
And that's just for the month of February.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And February's when the Super Bowl is.
I know. That's when it happened. That's when everybody was doing it. And it's not an anomaly. In February 2024, last year, S&P Global, a financial report, said that Americans wagered a record $119.84 billion on sports betting in 2023.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then recently, I mean, John Oliver did, after I started researching this one back in March, John Oliver did an episode on his show where he talked about sports betting as well. Right. I love his show.
Yeah.
And his point was, it shouldn't be this easy to lose this much money.
Yeah.
Is what he was saying. And as far as like addiction, I mean, yeah, I've always been aware of, I mean, it's not my personal addiction, but I've been aware of gambling addiction.
Yes.
And then Mary and I, we were watching New Tricks, which is a British detective series this week.
Is it good?
It's okay. I like the cast. You know, you see the exact same people on every British show.
Uh-huh.
So it's almost like a repertory, you know? I mean,
right.
You watch different shows and you're like, oh, this time he's playing a villain. This time he's playing you get to see how they do
that British actor cabal, man, and you're set. You know who's also set? And I'm in Chicago now. Every guy who looks anything like the Pope is gonna work
down on Michigan Avenue with the Pope.
Yeah, there's gonna be guys in Pope outfits everywhere.
I'd love it. I was working on Michigan Avenue one time, and I looked down, and as a advertising promo for Kentucky Fried Chicken, they had dressed up like 50 people in white suits with white goatees and white wigs, like Colonel Sanders. And there was like 50 Colonel Sanders walking down Michigan Avenue. It was brilliant. I love it.
Wow. You don't want to dig too deep into history about the Colonel, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's a different time. It was a different time.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is, as an anthropologist, I'm interested in this because for the last 300 years or so, gambling was considered a moral vice.
Right.
You know what I mean? Right. And people condemned it. They condemned gambling. In this article, The Economics of Casino Gambling, William Eadington said, gambling was long condemned or at least frowned upon as being either a waste of time and resources or a potential cancer on the fabric of society.
Not anymore.
Not anymore. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. What has changed? We went from that where you had like your minister saying it was up there with like liquor and women and And then now you have Joy the Sandman Aikman saying we need to do something because it's unfair to gamblers. You know what I mean?
I love him standing up for the gamblers. Now that so much money's involved.
I know. It's like, we
got to
do
really play it fair.
This is unfair to all the bettors. You know what I mean? It's like, John Oliver said something too. Like he said that like all these gambling corporations pay the NFL for like their data to help set the odds and stuff. So the NFL is making millions of dollars based on deals they have to give away their like scouting reports and stuff. Like that.
I have zero doubt that all those owners are getting a piece of the action.
I know. So today, John, we're looking at the history of gambling and why humans gamble. Mm-hmm. As an anthropologist, I want to go back a little deeper.
Okay.
And I know that as an organized activity, gambling actually traces its roots back to divination or fortune telling as a religious practice that was meant to like tell what was going to happen in the future.
Right.
And David Schwartz notes in the book, Roll the Bones, The History of Gambling, divination is the practice of using supernatural or intuitive means to tell the future or reveal information hidden to reason.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what we're doing when we gamble. We're trying to like predict the future.
The vibe. Yeah. Take information, but also ultimately just what your gut say.
Right. But you also pray. I mean, look at me. I prayed to God. I'm not joking. I said, just give me one Super Bowl before I go.
Thank God you did. Thank God we got that one.
I'll take one for the team.
Yeah.
I'll take one for the team when God comes down to get me. But whether it was like reading animal entrails or coconut shells or the inside of egg yolks.
Right.
They also used to throw sheep or goat astragalus bones, which are like the hock bone on the little hock bones on a sheep or a goat. You could throw those and they'd always give you a random result.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what actually, that's where we get dice. Dice ultimately evolved from those astragalus bones from a sheep into the little cubes that we have.
Makes sense.
But everybody was just trying to control chance. That's what they were trying to do.
Yeah.
And I want to go back even before that a little bit and see where the actual urge to gamble comes from.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
So again, in the book, Roll the Bones, The History of Gambling. It's a great book. Good read, quick read.
Ooh, love it.
Putting it up there.
Excellent.
That's by David Schwartz. A very good comprehensive history of gambling. Also,
that's a thick book. Look at all these books you read.
I know.
Sucker's Progress.
This is by Herbert Asbury and was written back in 1938. Herbert Asbury is the same guy who wrote Gangs of New York. The Gangs of New York, about all the gangs. Yeah.
Oh, nice. I love that book.
Yeah, so he did this one all
Lucky
about
Luciano was so important. I never understood.
Yeah. As far as like the history of organized crime in New York.
How about dreidel? Spinning the dreidel with the Jewish gambling game. That's a good one.
Same thing. You're trying to control chance or predict chance. To bet on that. But in the book, in the introduction to Schwartz's book, James McManus, who's a writer and professional poker player, says that whoever wants to know the heart and mind of Earth's citizens needs to understand gambling. In every tribe and country today, physical games represent and often have startling price tags attached to hunter and warrior skills. And McManus says, why? Because our ancestors depended for their survival on the ability to run fast and wield lethal projectiles against either wild animals or enemy tribesmen.
Right.
And he then makes the argument that today's athletes mimic those feats in symbolic rituals, sometimes called games, while the rest of us make financial and emotional wagers on the outcome.
Yes. We can play or role play as if we are the person we're betting on. It brings a connection. Yes.
Right. And in other words, also he's saying that he sees gambling as part of our human heritage. That's something that goes back to prehistoric man, our prehistoric ancestors, when life and survival was very risky.
I agree with that. Like if you're at a craps table, everybody, I don't care who you are, is the same. When the person tossing the dice is up, it doesn't matter. You're all in it together. It's a very deep feeling.
Right. It's very like, the energy all focused down in, like you could feel it coming up. It's like, it does feel primal. It does feel primal.
It does. It does.
And he's saying that when being able to understand and predict chance actually gave you a survival advantage, which we've talked about before.
Yes.
Some of ours.
Yeah.
Like if you could, the greater risk that you were able to take and survive, the greater reward you would get. If you were willing to take on a woolly mammoth or a bear, or stick your hand and face into a beehive, there was risk involved in that, but you would get the reward. You would get not only in terms of meat, but also in terms of prestige in the tribe.
Yeah. See, I wouldn't have much prestige in the tribe. I don't think I would be of much use. I just don't think I would be kept around. I can't think of how I would participate in a positive way.
I think you're very good at organization. I've been on trips with you before, and you organize things very well.
That's true. That is true.
So I'm sure, like, when the tribe woke up on the morning of the hunt, they'd find everything laid out.
Oh, God, you're right. I could be that guy. I'm like the water boy,
I sharpened all your spears, guys.
Here's your loincloths.
I washed them. I spent all night. I was down at the stream hammering them on a rock.
I am exhausted and hungry, so get out there.
And you just make people happy, John. You make people laugh.
That's true. But is that valuable? I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe back then it was. I mean, give people something to live for. And so that's what McManus is saying that we're essentially doing when we bet on sports, when we play sports and when we bet on sports. We're going back to that feeling we had of trying to take a risk to get something more.
Yes.
And that's kind of like what the, when you look at the gambling ads on TV, that's what they're saying as well, is if you gamble, then you'll get all this money and you'll have the car and then you'll have these hot women. And then, ultimately from an evolutionary standpoint, you'll be able to pass on, better chance that you pass on your
DNA. Exactly. Because that's what everything boils down to.
Right. Yeah. So there is a survival or an evolutionary advantage, I guess you get to make the argument for taking risk.
Amazing.
And one of the most famous studies that was done about risk taking and gambling and rewards was done by the researchers Michael Platt and Allison McCoy at Duke University in 2005.
Okay.
And in the article, Gambling Monkeys Give Insight into the Neural Machinery of Risk.
Oh, no. They made monkeys gamble? No. God, we make them do everything.
Just wait, I'm going to make you do the same. I'm going to make you do the same experiment here.
Oh, God.
So it was called Gambling Monkeys Give Insight into the Neural Machinery of Risk. And what they did is Platt and McCoy, they gave 2 male rhesus macaque monkeys a chance to gamble to receive juice rewards.
Juice?
So they were, juice. Yeah, they were getting juice.
Okay.
And the article says that they were hoping the results could give insights into why humans compulsively engage in risky behaviors, including gambling, unsafe sex, drug use, and overeating.
Yeah.
And
driving, reckless driving.
Right.
Everybody's like, oh, because, the robot cars have taken over LA.
Yeah,
Did you know that?
Oh, yeah. You've told me about it, and then I finally saw them in Phoenix when we were there.
Aren't they amazing?
Yeah, it's pretty weird. It's weird, though. It's taken me some getting you. I haven't, because I had just seen them,
They're on. It's on.
Yeah. Yeah. They're going to be, Teamsters, watch out. Watch out, dudes. I love the Teamsters. I believe in the Teamsters, but these things are driving everything now.
Yep.
So in the experiment, Platt and McCoy gave the monkeys chances to choose to look at either of two target lights on a computer screen. Okay. So they could pick one light or the other light.
Okay.
And looking at the risky or looking at the safe target light yielded the same fruit juice reward each time. So one light would give them just the same amount.
Consistent.
Yeah.
If A, then B.
Right. And looking at the risky target light might yield a larger or smaller juice reward.
Can monkeys look at computer lights? Are they sure that they could even see anything?
I knew you were going to ask that. If anybody's
this thing
interested,
sounds dodgy.
they do go in and talk about all the different things that they did to make certain that the monkeys were actually
looking at these target lights. Of all the things, a light on a screen? I don't know. It just seems
that it wasn't random. They did do a little bit of, I mean, in the article they talk about, because I knew you would bring it up. I knew you would bring that up, so I printed it off and I underlined it. Just so, because I'm like, Lear's going to ask me about that.
Just seems cockamamie. That's all I'm saying.
It does talk about it. He basically, there's something called the where is it? Oh, I can't go into it right now.
But, my apologies. I shouldn't have dug it up.
It's theory of expected values were identical, so there shouldn't be one reason why they were looking at one light more than the other light, and so they did these like back experiments and kind of built these things in to see that wasn't just chance that the monkey was doing.
Got it.
So then again, the risky light would give them variable, different types of, like, sometimes it'd be a lot, sometimes it'd be nothing, sometimes it'd be a little bit. And the article says, to the researchers' surprise, the monkeys overwhelmingly preferred to gamble by looking at the risky target.
Interesting.
This preference held regardless of whether the scientists made the risky target reward more variable or whether the monkeys had received more or less fruit juice during the course of the day.
Wow.
So,
it was just fun. They were just compelled.
Right.
Let's see what I'm going to get. The unknown. Roll the dice, baby.
You got it. In fact, when the researchers made the average payoff for the risky target less than for the safe target, the monkeys still preferred the risky target.
God, we are so doomed. All of us. We're just
You're really keying in on all the results of this without even knowing. And that's what's so funny to me. So Michael Platt, the researcher, said that, quote, basically these monkeys really like to gamble. And this is what you're talking about. There was something intrinsically rewarding about choosing a target that offered a variable juice reward. As if the variability in rewards that they experienced was in itself rewarding.
Right.
You know?
I can relate to that.
I know.
Risk is fun, or you feel alive. You feel alive when you're risking something.
Right. And that's what he's saying. That's what the monkeys were. It was beating the boredom.
They were, whatever. What do I care? Let's see what happens.
And it goes on to say, even when the researchers subjected the monkeys to a string of losses, the high of a win appeared to keep them going.
Yeah, because you never know. You just keep going. My daddy said, when you lose the first race, there's always the second race.
Boy, you're really identifying. We're going to do some experiments coming up here, and then we'll have you talk about what you were going through.
Okay.
And then Platt says, if they got a big reward one time on the risky choice, but then continued to get small rewards, the monkeys would keep going back as if they were searching or waiting or hoping to get that big payoff again.
Wow.
And it seemed very, very similar, he says, to the experience of people who are compulsive gamblers. Mm-hmm. While it's always dangerous to anthropomorphize, it seemed as if the monkeys got a high out of getting a big reward that obliterated any memory of the losses that they would experience following that big reward.
But it just makes sense, because in order for it makes sense that be an evolutionary trait,
Yeah.
because only by risking do you grow, and
Mhm.
so to make that a part of our makeup
Yeah.
is a part of what we're successful. I mean, you look at like innovative people. I mean, it's just risking everything based on a gut feeling, a
Yeah.
belief
Yeah.
that it's gonna pay off.
Have you ever done the whole, like, all in and push everything, like they always do on those, poker championships, like, somebody's like,
I'm trying to
"I'm
think.
all in."
I mean, I don't know. I went to Hollywood. That's kind of putting it
Yeah.
all in,
The thing that this really reminded me of was, again, it's not my gambling's not my personal addiction, but I completely get it from like drugs and alcohol.
Yes,
Of
right.
like, you can have a shitty high, like you're always excited when you do the high, or like right before you take the drug or whatever, go out
Yes.
drinking, and it
This
can
time
be
it's gonna be
shitty.
different. Yeah.
Yeah, but you forget what happened the next time you go out. You could be hungover and can't get off. You get pants around your ankles or whatever. And the next time it's like, I'm right back in.
Here
I'm
we
right back.
go. Today's Thursday.
So just a little more. So then Platt and McCoy wanted to see what exactly was going on inside the monkeys' brains to make them
Okay.
behave this way.
Oh, Jesus. So they killed
Yeah.
him and cut him open?
No,
Oh,
that
okay.
would have been, it probably would have been better. They quote threaded hair thin microelectrodes into a
Oh,
brain region called the posterior cingulate cortex,
oh,
which has been
Jesus.
linked to the processing of information on rewards in animals and humans.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. So
They're
then
risking the lives of these monkeys for their
yeah,
research. They're gambling themselves.
I
They're
know,
like,
I
"Let's
know.
just thread some wires in there." I'm telling you.
Yeah, something's going
Oh.
on in that cingulate cortex or whatever.
Oh.
They then measured the electrical activity of neurons in that region as they administered the same behavioral task to the monkeys. Okay, so we're tracking what's going on in this certain region of the brain with
Okay.
risk and
And
rewards.
and it
And they
lights
and
up. It
yeah,
lights up.
and Platt says as we increase the riskiness of a target, the neuron's activity would go up in the same way the monkey's frequency of choosing the target would go up. It was amazing the degree to which the activity of these neurons paralleled the behavior of the monkeys. They looked like they were signaling the monkey's subjective evaluation of that target.
Wow.
So
Wow.
this is fascinating to me because it's basically they then say further analysis of the neuronal activity indicated that indeed the neurons were reflecting the risk value the monkeys placed on the target rather than an after the fact response to the payoff.
Man. So your brain is not your friend.
Right.
Your
Right.
brain is fucking with you, basically.
Right. The excitement in this experiment was coming before the payout. So it was the possibility.
I get that. That makes sense to me. That's what I'm saying about feeling alive.
Yeah.
When
Yeah.
you put everything on red, although never do that, only bet on black.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
But save a little bit and put it on those double zeros.
but it's the same way you feel. I felt it before I would take a drug, for example. There was that excitement was more when you knew it was coming that night, or you knew you were planning, you were getting ready to take it.
Absolutely. I mean, that goes to that Christmas.
Yeah.
Christmas, the ramping up to Christmas is always more fun than the payoff. The payoff never ever lives up. Ever.
And what you were talking about when you see people arriving in Vegas.
Yeah.
It's not only that, like, oh, it's the beginning of their vacation. It's the excitement of what that
Yes.
could possibly hold, that what that high risk could
Yes.
possibly hold for having come out here to Vegas.
Yeah.
And when you're seeing them leave, it's not just people who lied. Maybe they broke even, but it's not the same. It's not the
No.
reward the reward is not where the excitement is coming from, no matter
Right.
what the reward is.
Right. It doesn't matter.
Right.
And that's why the casinos, they know.
Right.
The possibility, our infatuation with the possibility.
Yeah, it's all in the possibility. That's where the real excitement is, that you could possibly. And then afterwards, like, these monkeys were getting less.
And they
were still going back to the risky selection, the risky choice.
Double down.
So how does this manifest itself in the real world in gambling? And to demonstrate this, or hopefully, we're going to do a couple experiments, you and me.
Okay. Are you going to put electrodes, thread electrodes into my brain?
We're going to do the same experiment, but unfortunately, I don't have electrodes, or else I would put them in there, because I think you're a perfect subject.
I would trust you. I would say do it. It's for the good of the podcast.
So you and I are going to play one of the oldest gambling games in the world. It's called the hand game, or the stick game.
Okay.
And Schwartz notes that there were many of these simple gambling games in the ancient world. For example, he says the ancient Greeks played a game called odds and evens, where one person held a small number of objects in their hand, for example, and the other person would guess whether the number was odd or even.
Okay, that's great. I like it.
It's also kind of like heads and tails, what I mean, or like just picking heads or tails,
or rock paper scissors, or
yeah. Mm-hmm. And Schwartz notes that stick games or hand games were played by Native American tribes in North America. And in these games, what they would do is that there'd be a bunch of sticks, but there would be a certain stick that would be the winner. And again, somebody would like put it, go back and forth in their hand, and then they'd hold up the stick, and the player would have to pick which hand.
It's like when you choose straws, you put them all even, but the short straw loses.
Right, exactly. Right. And apparently I've read accounts of people who, playing this game, and apparently it was like a lot of skill. Like, people would really watch to see if they could figure out a tell, the person who was passing it back and forth. So you and I are going to do a version of the hand game or the stick game, and I'm going I have a coin here. It's a $1 George Washington coin.
Wow, $1. You got $1 coin there. Look at you.
Yeah. And I purposely picked this one because I thought this is part of the process too, is like picking the game itself is shiny and interesting.
Yes.
And now you're like,
I'm impressed. I mean, it's not a Cougaran, but it's
something different though. It got your attention of like, oh, look at that.
Wait, the $1 coin doesn't have Susan B. Anthony anymore. It's got George Washington.
They changed them. When did this one? When was it minted? I can't see the mint date. They changed them.
Of course they did.
Yeah.
Put a bro on there.
There were two women, Sacagawea and Susan B. Anthony, and it was like, that's too many. That's too many. We got to go back. Too many women all around. I'm taking my glasses off, John, for a reason, so that you can't look in my glasses and tell which hand I put.
Son of a bitch. I would have totally done that.
So we're going to play just a basic game.
Okay.
And then I'm going to hold them up. And the thing is, you have to tell me, we're going back. We're in the screen. And for people at home, you got to tell me like your left or your right.
Wait, my right or your right?
Well, you can point. Why don't you point?
Okay.
And also, which one do you want to?
I'm going to take, no, wait a minute. No, I'm going to say your right or your left. McCray's right hand or McCray's left hand.
Yeah, say McCray's right hand or McCray's left hand.
Okay.
I'm holding them up for him.
I'm looking for a tell. I'm going to say your right.
You're right. It's not there.
Oh!
It was over in this hand.
Yeah, wait a minute. You just switched it out. You're cheating like the refs and the Chiefs.
So let's play it again. Let's play it again.
Okay. I'm going to go with your left. Same one. Your left.
This one over here?
No, McCray's left hand. Yes.
This one.
Yes.
It's not there.
Damn.
It's not there.
Is it in any of them? Wait a minute. Really the other.
Well, we're doing this where it's basically 50-50.
Yes.
So if we were to do this 100 times, chances are it ultimately work out to where it would be about very close to each of us getting 50% of these right.
That's right.
Which side it was on.
That's right.
Okay. So now, John, let's play the same game, only we're going to play it $5 a hand.
Whoa. Okay. Oh, Jesus.
And you're coming out here in June, so we can pay.
I'll pay up. $5. Okay. I'm going to go with your right hand. Come on, right. Come on. Yeah. Yeah. Woo.
He got the right hand
there and collect.
No. Let's play it one more time.
Double or nothing. Double or nothing.
So we'll play it again.
Double or nothing. Same hand, your right hand. Your right hand.
He got it again. Ah! He got it again. He got the right hand.
Oh my God. That's so great.
So I want to just ask you though, what was the feeling when we put the $5 on it?
It changes. It totally changes. Yeah. It makes it more fun because there's more risk involved. We're so rudimentary.
You just won $10. You just won $10.
Oh. Well, thank you.
But it does. You can feel it. Like the whole atmosphere of the game changes
when you got some skin in it.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So now let's do a different one. We will do. This time I'm going to have right hand, left hand, or on the table. Meaning.
Oh. Okay.
So it's 3 choices. 3 choices.
Now the house is going to win on this one. I see what you're doing.
But the thing is, if you pick it right, you get $8 instead of $5.
Oh, okay. Look at you. You're a casino now. All right. I'm ready. Okay. $8. Okay.
You get $8.
Okay. I'm going to go with your left hand with the ring. Yeah! Oh my God, I'm on fire. We should take me to Vegas right now. I'm up $28.
Well, $18.
$18. Sorry. 18. All right. Okay. Am I betting all of it now again? Is it double or nothing?
It's $5 a hand.
Okay. I see. Okay. I'm going to go with the table. I'm going with the table.
No, it was over here. It was over here. It was in my right hand.
I knew it when I said it. So now I'm down to $13.
Yeah. But here's the reason why I'm demonstrating this one is that, we changed the odd. There was a bigger payoff for you for playing that one if you picked it correctly. But the thing is, you then had only a 1 out of 3 chance to pick it. And I had a 2 out of 3 chance.
That's right.
So it didn't really matter to me. So in every 3 times we played, on average, I would pay you $8 and you would pay me $10.
Right.
And so there would be
that's how casinos. That's why every casino except for Trump's makes money.
I know.
How did that one go down?
I don't know. He must have been betting at his own casino or something. Because it's like, I don't even need. It doesn't matter to me if you win or lose. I just need you to keep playing.
Yeah.
And the more you play or the more people that play, I will always get that little percentage of the handle, which is like the number all the best.
Supposedly craps is the best odds at the casino that are most in favor of the player.
Yeah.
And the worst are like, I don't know, blackjack or whatever. I don't know.
It's funny. I was going to bring up, there used to be a game called Pharaoh, which you still hear about in old Western movies. You'll hear about Pharaoh. And Pharaoh was supposed to be the best for the player. Like it had the lowest percentage of odd. It was almost, in fact, people used to write that in the hands of an honest Pharaoh dealer, it was basically chance between you and the house is what it came out with. And that's where Herbert Asbury says that's probably the reason why you never see people playing Pharaoh anymore in the casino.
Yeah. Somebody a little smarter was like, wait a minute.
And he says that, another good argument as to why there's not a good percentage to go to the house with Faro, or the odds aren't in the house's favor, is that at Monte Carlo they never played Faro. they never played Faro.
Those friends, they had it figured out.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Well, that's why when you go to Vegas, I feel like everything I do in Vegas is being controlled by people smarter than me. I stopped to buy this food. It's all like, somebody smarter than me is putting me through the maze.
Yeah, they just need to keep you in that maze. They just need to keep you playing. That's basically what the essential strategy is. Like, I'll make money. We could play that 3, on the table, left hand, right hand on the table.
Right.
I'll pay you 8 if you pick it. And the more we pay, I know at the end of the night, I'll have turned a profit, no matter what it is.
Right.
Even if you're,
That's right. That's right.
Asbury also said that the problem with Faro was you could never find an honest Faro game. Like, the dealers were always crooked. And that's like, who's to say I was telling you the right thing?
Yeah, wait a minute. You son of a bitch. I'm your friend, for Christ's sake.
I was doing it because this is like a scientific. We're trying it for science here. We're not doing actually to win money.
All right.
Okay, so here's what we're going to do. One more game. We're going to try here, and we're going to play the game that the monkeys played.
Oh God! Okay.
So I have a stack of bills here for you, John.
Oh, whoa! Look at that.
Okay.
All right.
And I have a bunch of 1s. I have some 5s. And I have some 20s.
Ooh! Look at you.
And this time you don't have to even. I'll put it all over here so I can pick it up. You just need to pick left hand, right hand, and you'll win something.
Okay.
Or you may win something. You may win something.
Okay. Left hand.
This one over here. $1. Yeah.
Whoa! Nice. Okay. All right. I like this game.
All right. Let's play it again. Let me get them all going.
I win no matter what.
You'll get something. I mean, it's the same experiment the monkeys did.
Okay.
So you'll see. All right. So now I'm bringing up two. I have a bill in each hand for John to pick out here.
Okay. Your right hand. Oh, what do I got there? Oh, a 20.
$20. You just won $20.
Whoa.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Let's play this again.
Left hand.
$1.
$1. All right.
Okay, let me do it again.
All right. Right hand.
$2.
Ooh, the right hand pays better.
Okay.
All right.
Let me do them again.
All right. Right hand. I'm going right hand. God damn it.
Nothing.
The next time it'll have a 20.
So you have got on to where you can see where. Wasn't it a disappointment when you got the $1 bill?
And I immediately clocked that the right hand was giving me more money.
So, and you went back to it.
And I would have gone again. Even after losing, I would have gone back to the right hand.
So, I mean, the monkeys couldn't actually articulate it. But did you find yourself we only played it 4 times. Did you find yourself looking like, you're trying to find a pattern?
Yeah, right. That's why they put all those monies at those numbers on the roulette table. Totally meaningless. Yeah. You go to the casino and they show the last 20 numbers that have hit or whatever.
Yeah,
you look at them and you go, "Ooh, an 8 hasn't hit. It's due." No, it's not due. There's nothing about it that's due.
No, it's not due.
They're just trying to get you to think it's due.
Yeah, and just to kind of sum up everything that we've been talking about, Schwartz says that everything changed for gambling in the 16th century, or the 1600s, the 16th century. And at that time is when mathematicians started looking at probability and
Yeah.
probability.
Yeah.
And before that, everybody had to pray. You know, you had to pray to Fortuna, was the Roman god of chance. Tyche was the Greek god. Even the Aztecs had Macuilxochitl, who was the god of excess pleasure, gambling, and games that they would pray to before they gambled.
Right.
And what happened is once mathematicians got an idea of how probability worked, then they say that the mysteries of dice, this is Schwartz, mysteries of dice could be pierced and vague guesswork replaced by a thorough understanding of probability. And armed with a better understanding of the odds and how to manipulate them, gamblers could become professionals and make a living from more or less honest games. And that was always a chance if you could actually find an honest game. Because if it did seem like there was a fair percentage between the player and the house, chances are the house was was doing something nefarious in there. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one of the guys who first wrote about probability and gambling was a guy called Girolamo Cardano, who lived from 1501 to 1576, who wrote the book on games of chance. And Schwartz says that in the book, Cardano discussed the general law of wagers. And Cardano said, before agreeing to stakes, one must consider the total number of outcomes and compare the number of casts that would produce a favorable outcome to those that are unfavorable. So that's what I was doing with when we changed the odds and said, okay, he only has a 1 out of 3 chance of winning, and I have a 2 out of 3 chance.
And yet the fun, the idea, the expectation on the gambler side is just, you still get the same hit. It's like you said, it doesn't matter if you win or not, really. It's the expectation.
Right.
And so you're screwed. You're screwed.
Yeah. Because you just want to play. I mean, that's the excitement. It's the variable of
what's going to happen.
I could win it big. Even if the odds are chances are I won't.
Yep.
And then Galileo Galilei also wrote a table of probability and a thesis on probability for his sponsor, the Grand Duke Cosimo II of Tuscany, who was a gambler. And so he paid Galileo to come up with, like, how does probability work? Because he wanted to see, like, how he could make money in gambling. And using Galileo's probability table, Schwartz says, one could go into business with 3 dice, a table, and a moderately sized bankroll, and given the probabilities, make a 15-unit profit for the gambling professional every run of 216 rolls.
Oh, God.
So that's what we were talking about. I don't even care if you win, if you hit a couple times. It doesn't matter to me.
Right.
Because I know every 3 rolls, when it averages out, I will have paid you $8 and you will have paid me $10.
Yeah, that's right.
so
you're going to lose. No, it's fixed.
Right. And that's really where I don't know if it's even rigging. I mean, people, I guess know, maybe they don't know, but it's just like, I just got to keep you playing. And so in conclusion, how does all this apply to problem gambling? In the article Gambling, Melanie Crawford Chadwick says there are basically 2 types of problem gamblers. Action gamblers are typically men who prefer skill games such as poker, craps, and sports betting. And we all know these guys.
Yeah, we all
have friends of them. And then there are escape gamblers, who are typically women or elderly people who gamble to escape problems. And escape gamblers prefer hypnotic games such as slots, bingo, and scratch tickets. Okay? And so basically if you talk about that buzz that you get before you actually place your bet, before you actually play the game, and it doesn't really matter if you're going to win or not. In fact, you'll probably be disappointed no matter what you win.
Right.
Because you had spent so much money before, lost so much money before.
Right.
That it's just there. If you keep playing, the house is going to win. It's just probability. I guess is what it is.
And boy, that permeates to many, many areas in our lives.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Many, many areas. Well, Professor, this was fantastic.
Well,
we didn't even get into Dungeons and Dragons and 20-sided dice.
Oh,
and
yeah.
all of that.
Yeah.
But,
you know, originally I had started out, I was going to do a straight history of gambling and just using these books and just kind of, because it's fascinating. It's fascinating, the types of games and how games, you know, how card games came from China or from Korea through China to Persia to Venice, you know, with the merchants, and then they became, that's all fascinating. So we may have to come back to it, but it just wasn't, there wasn't enough time to get everything. We went way back to the urge of gambling.
Yes, I love that. Well, we'll do a two-parter. We'll go back to the history, but I love the urge. I love that.
Yeah, we'll come back around. We'll come back around. And
sounds good.
And also, I just want to say before we quit, John, I'm not judge. I don't judge. I'm an old alcoholic and drug addict, but I get addiction. And I would say to anybody who is struggling with gambling addiction or any addiction, there's help out there. And it's recovery, as you and I both know, sucks. It's hard.
But it's possible. But it is possible. Yep.
And it's better odds. I think. Than trying to win a big one to pay off all your gambling debts. So anyway, I don't know.
Well said.
I feel for people.
Well, this is Human Number 2 signing off.
And this is Human Number 1. Thanks for listening, everyone. If you found this podcast interesting, please tell a friend about it. And don't forget to check out Watson & Company Socks, Puppies Not Piranhas on Etsy, and the Two Humans Cave Shop on Cafe Press. And John, I will be sending my my goon around to collect what you owe after this show.
I thought I was up $13 or something.
I'm just adding that. We'll settle up when you get out here in June.
Oh, Jesus.
So. All right. Love you guys. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.